Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Brajajanaranga Yasodanandana Brajajanaranga Yamuna Tiravanchari Yamuna Tiravanchari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Yasodanandana Brajajanaranga Yasodanandana Brajajanaranga Yamuna Tiravanchari Yamuna Tiravanchari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranga Yasodanandana Brajajanaranga Yamuna Tiravanchari Yamuna Tiravanchari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Brahmax Purjakacharya Sudhati Rang Grace Sabai Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Panacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Anatakari Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Shri Thakur Ki Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopana Shamakana Radha Kandagiri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Gangamaya Junmaya Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita. This is the 18th chapter. This is this is text number 78. If you know this one, you can repeat after me. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna. 1878. Very important verse. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna. Yatra Patha Dhanurdhara. Yatra Patha Dhanurdhara. Tratra Shri Jurvayo Nitir. Tratra Shri Vijayo Dhruva nitir matir mama. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna. Yatra Patha Dhanurdara. Tatra Shri Dhruvayo Nitir. Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Okay, anybody else would like to try it?
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara.
Nodira.
Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir.
Tatra Shri Dhruvayo Nitir.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Anyone else?
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara.
Tatra Shri Dhruvayo Nitir. Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. You can say it.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara.
Yatra Patha Dhanurdhara.
Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutir.
Tatra Shri Dhruvayo Nitir.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Okay, one quick question. I hate it when the loudspeaker's too loud, but it needs to be loud enough so you can hear it. Is this good or not? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it fuzzy?
Yeah.
Huh? Is it too loud?
No.
Is it just right? That's good, because it never usually is. Everybody has to put the sound up way too loud. It's horrible. Anyway, Hare Krishna. One of my pet gripes. So, we'll do the word for word. Yatra. Repeat after me. Yatra.
Yatra.
Where?
Where?
Yogeshvara.
Yogeshvara.
The master of mysticism.
The master of mysticism.
Krishna. Lord Krishna. Yatra. Where? Partha. The son of Prita. Dhanurdhara. Of the bow and arrow. Tatra. There. Shri. Opulence. Victory. Bhuti. Exceptional power. Dhruva. Certainly. Niti. Morality. Mati Mama. Is my opinion. Translation. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Please repeat. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Bhagavad Gita began with an inquiry of Dhritarashtra. He was hopeful of the victory of his sons, assisted by great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. He was hopeful that the victory would be on his side. But after describing the scene in the battlefield, Sanjaya told the king, "You are thinking of victory, but my opinion is that where Krishna and Arjuna are present, there will be all good fortune." He directly confirmed that Dhritarashtra could not expect victory for his side. Victory was certain for the side of Arjuna because Krishna was there. Krishna's acceptance of the post of charioteer for Arjuna was an exhibition of another opulence. Krishna is full of all opulences, and renunciation is one of them. There are many instances of such renunciation, for Krishna is also the master of renunciation. The fight was actually between Duryodhana and Yudhisthira. Arjuna was fighting on behalf of his elder brother Yudhisthira. Because Krishna and Arjuna were on the side of Yudhisthira, Yudhisthira's victory was certain. The battle was to decide who would rule the world, and Sanjaya predicted that the power would be transferred to Yudhisthira. It is also predicted here that Yudhisthira, after gaining victory in this battle, would flourish more and more because he was not only righteous and pious, but he was a strict moralist. He never spoke a lie during his life. There are many less intelligent persons who take Bhagavad Gita to be a discussion of topics between two friends in a battlefield, but such a book cannot be scripture. Some may protest that Krishna incited Arjuna to fight, which is immoral, but the reality of the situation is clearly stated. Bhagavad Gita is the supreme instruction in morality. The supreme instruction of morality is stated in the 9th chapter, in the 34th verse, Manmana bhava mad bhakta. One must become a devotee of Krishna, and the essence of all religion is to surrender unto Krishna, as stated, Savadama. The instructions of Bhagavad Gita constitute the supreme process of religion and of morality. All other processes may be purifying and may lead to this process, but the last instruction of the Gita is the last word in all morality and religion, surrender unto Krishna. This is the verdict of the 18th chapter. From Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that to realize oneself by philosophical speculation and by meditation is one process, but to fully surrender unto Krishna is the highest perfection. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The path of regulated principles according to the orders of social life and according to the different courses of religion may be a confidential path of knowledge, in as far as the rituals of religion are confidential, but one is still involved with meditation and cultivation of knowledge. Surrender unto Krishna in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential instruction and is the essence of the Bhagavad 18th chapter. Another feature of Bhagavad Gita is that the actual truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Absolute truth is realized in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Perfect knowledge of the absolute truth means perfect knowledge of Krishna. If one understands Krishna, then all the departments of knowledge are part and parcel of that understanding. Krishna is transcendental, for he is always situated in his eternal internal potency. The living entities are manifested and are divided into two classes: eternally conditioned and eternally liberated. Such living entities are innumerable, yet they are considered fundamental parts of Krishna. Material energy is manifested into 24 divisions. The creation is affected by eternal time, and it is created and dissolved by external energy. This manifestation of the cosmic world repeatedly becomes visible and invisible. In Bhagavad Gita, 5 principal subject matters have been discussed: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature, the living entities, eternal time, and all kinds of activities. All of these are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. All conceptions of the absolute truth, namely impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, or any other transcendental conception, exist within the category of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although superficially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, material nature, and time appear to be different, nothing is different from the Supreme. But the Supreme is always different from everything. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is that of inconceivably one and different. This system of philosophy constitutes perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The living entity in his original position is pure spirit. He is just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. The conditioned living entity, however, is the marginal energy of the Lord. He tends to be in contact with both the material energy and the spiritual energy. In other words, the living entity is situated between the two energies of the Lord, and because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. By proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its conclusions, the perfection of renunciation. Om Jnanatamrandasya Gyananjana Shlakya Chakshuramritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master forced open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. This is a very important verse, and if we understand that if Krishna is on our side, we will always be successful. So we have to somehow or other join the side of Krishna, because Krishna is our best friend and he wants us to be with him. Krishna is the most lovable person. He's the most beautiful, he's the wealthiest, he's the strongest, he's the most famous, he's the most, what else is he? The richest, he's the most renounced, he's everything the most, all good things. So if you, which one? So if you have Krishna on your side, then you cannot lose. So we might see people in the material world who have a lot of money and who may be very beautiful and very strong, but it's all very temporary because of their karma. They have received some good karma, and so they have some material attributes which they may be very proud of, but a devotee does not aspire for these things. A devotee should aspire only to love Krishna, because that is what will make us happy. Nothing else will make us happy. So Krishna says, Patram pushpam palam tvayam yome bhakti priyachati. He says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit or water, I will accept it. So this is the secret, that if we offer anything to Krishna, then Krishna will reciprocate. And the more we offer to Krishna, the more Krishna will reciprocate. And ultimately, he wants everything. He wants us to give everything to him. That may be a little bit of a step, a big step for most of us, because we may have some attachments that, Krishna doesn't really want. But Krishna wants us. So Krishna has appeared in the material world specifically to give us a chance to hear about him, to hear about his wonderful relationships with his devotees, to hear how Krishna, he drove the chariot for Arjuna, and he had the flag of Hanuman on his chariot. So wherever there is Hanuman, there's always victory. So Krishna, being a chariot driver isn't really like being a chauffeur on a chariot. Chauffeur's not a particularly high-class job, but Krishna drove the chariot, and so Krishna helped Arjuna to be victorious. So Krishna will help us. So we just have to try to make an effort to please Krishna. And what is Krishna most pleased with? Anyone know? That too. Chanting the holy name. Because Krishna is within his name. How many of you chant japa with beads? Not everyone. Now, this is very important, because Srila Prabhupada, who knew Krishna very well, he was very dear to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. It didn't mean he didn't go through any reverses in life. He went through reverses. Like, for instance, he said when he was in America that before he came to America, he was very poor. And he was thinking, maybe I shouldn't have left my family. Maybe I shouldn't have taken sannyas. This is what he said. So he said it was very difficult. I had no money, hardly had a home. I was attacked by a cow in Vrindavan. So, Prabhu was wondering, did I make the right decision? But then he said that he came to America and he was talking to his disciples, and he said that now I see it was all Krishna's arrangement to test me. That now I have so many children and also so many mothers and fathers. He was referring to his disciples. So many nice relationships are there. And now, I have so many temples. And so we don't know what Krishna's plan is. But because he didn't really have to surrender, because he was always surrendered. But he was giving the example that if something doesn't always go our way, we have to be resolute, we have to be determined, we have to stick to the process. And chanting Hare Krishna with beads is a very important step in spiritual life. We can come to the Sunday program, it's great, we see the deities, we dance in the kirtan, we take the nice prasadam, but when we go home, we want to try to keep a spiritual atmosphere in the home. It's very important. So therefore, just like if you live in a cold climate or even a hot climate, you have good insulation, right? If you have good insulation in your house, it's called the R value. So they use horrible stuff, but it's fiberglass, but it keeps the cold out and the heat out. So similarly, we need to keep our home insulated from material infection. And the way to do that is actually to be surrounded by spiritual sound vibrations. And the most important spiritual vibration comes from our tongue. Because Srila Prabhupada said that the most important instruction of the spiritual master is to chant the holy name 16 rounds a day. So it's not so easy to suddenly chant 16 rounds a day. But we can chant 1 round a day or 2 rounds a day and gradually build up. How many of you would actually like to go back to Godhead? You're not sure? Back to the spiritual world. You want to come back again to New York again in your next life? No, you want to go back to Godhead. If you knew what the spiritual world was like, you can hear what it's like by reading the books. But we don't want to keep coming back to New York or London or Paris or Hawaii, anywhere. Even Hawaii is boring. But it's supposed to be like it. Prabhupada actually liked Hawaii. It was the climate was nice and he could write his books, but he wouldn't come back to live in Hawaii. So we should decide that we want to go back to Krishna. We want to go back to the spiritual world. That's where we belong. That's the only place where we won't have any problems. Because here in this world, there will always be some problem. Whether it's your refrigerator breaking down, or your car breaking down, or your husband leaving you, or your children being difficult, or changing nappies, changing diapers, there'll always be something. The landlord puts the rent up, there's always something. So that's because Krishna is telling us that you're not supposed to be here. This is not your real home. So therefore, Prabhupada said that chanting with beads is the most important instruction, because this purifies the heart so much that you develop a distaste for the material world, but at the same time you develop your love for Krishna. And the idea is, as Prabhupada said, you're supposed to fall in love with Krishna, just like a young girl and a young boy, they fall in love, and they can't think of anything else. So that's how we are supposed to be with Krishna. We're supposed to fall in love with Krishna, and everything is all about Krishna. So we have this great opportunity. It's very rare for human beings to visit a Hare Krishna temple, because there are so many living entities in this creation. Do you know how many living entities there are? Some of you do. 8,400,000 different forms of life. And so many insects, so many trees, so many fishes, you couldn't possibly count. So to get a human body is incredibly rare. It says after many millions of lifetimes, it says, how's that verse go? It says that Brahmanda Brahmati Konya Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Bija. So the example is given of a turtle who's swimming in the ocean. There are certain turtles, they circumambulate the whole world in the water, in the sea. So this particular turtle only comes up once a year for air. And it happens when it comes up that it puts its head through a piece of wood with a hole in it that's floating in the ocean. So that is the likelihood of meeting a genuine spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada. That we can all actually gain so much benefit by hearing from Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Of course, we can have so many gurus, Shiksha gurus, Diksha gurus, but the first instruction the guru will give is to chant the holy name, because that is the formula recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our loving friend and guide, and he appeared in this world specifically to give love of Krishna. Anapata chiram chirag kurunayovatana kalo. That he appeared in this age specifically to give love of Krishna in the mood of the residents and the gopas of Vrindavan. So this is very rare that Krishna gives this opportunity. There are so many devotees of Vishnu. In South India, you have so many temples of Vishnu with 4 arms. So many forms of God are there. But the supreme form is Krishna. The most beautiful form is Krishna, because Krishna has certain attributes and talents that nobody else has. Krishna is the most beautiful. He has the most loving pastimes with his devotees. He plays his beautiful flute. And Krishna's flute is so beautiful that when the living entities in Vrindavan hear the flute, they become stunned. Even the water in the river Jamuna becomes stunned and leaps up in ecstasy. And all the cows, the calves, they're drinking the milk from the mother. And while they're drinking and they hear the flute, they become struck with wonder. What is that beautiful sound? So here we have the traffic, we have the fire engines, nothing exciting. So we can actually go back to Krishna and hear his beautiful flute sound. And we can, Prabhupada said, he came to teach us how to dance with Krishna. You can dance with Krishna. Of course, if you don't want to dance with Krishna, you can be a cowherd boy, or you can be a cow, or you can be a tree. Even the trees. When Krishna went to Vrindavan with Balaram, he was noticing trees were bowing down with all their leaves and all their fruit, offering their fruit at the lotus feet of Balaram. Krishna and Balaram were together walking through Vrindavan. And Krishna said, oh, look at these trees, they're so magnanimous, they're so devoted. But then he said that actually, he said everybody, and then he said something very beautiful. He said, it is the duty, remarking on the trees, he said, it's the duty of every living entity to work for the benefit of others with their wealth, with their life, with their words, and with their body. So it's everybody's duty to work for everybody else. But devotees are the only ones that can really help others, because we're the only ones who know how to help others. Unfortunate people who don't know about Krishna, they don't know how to help others, because whatever they do is on the bodily platform. But the first thing Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita is, Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara tata Tehantara prapta dhirastitranamuyate. He says, as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the time of death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So he says that we all have a soul. The soul is Satchidananda. And everybody has a soul. All living entities have a soul. But all living entities are forlorn. They're suffering in this material world. So therefore, devotees, they know that they have a soul and they have the ability to help everybody. Even by, you can make some cookies, you can give out some cookies, you can go out and chant in public so that everybody hears the holy name. Prabhupada wanted us to actually go out in public and chant. One time he was in Paris and he was told that the French people, they don't like to hear the chanting. When they hear the chanting, they put their hands over their ears like that. So Prabhupada said, well, you have to pull their hand away from their ear so they have to hear the chanting. So anybody hears the chanting, because the devotee's prayer is in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. You should all get a set of Srimad Bhagavatam. They're over here. They're very good investment because it will bring you the greatest wealth. Because it said that knowledge is the greatest wealth. So it says that even an ugly man, a young woman becomes beautiful with a husband. The earth becomes glorified, this is Chanakya Pandit, with a good king. And an ugly man becomes beautiful if he has knowledge. So if you're ugly, don't worry. Get a set of Srimad Bhagavatams. You can become beautiful. So in one verse, in the 5th canto, of course if you're beautiful, if your body is beautiful, it's not really beautiful because the body is made of matter and it decomposes and everybody gets old and ugly and there's nothing you can do about it. But one should not lament because Prabhupada says that a devotee, when a devotee is old, they know they're not the body, they know they're not actually old. We're not old, you don't get old, it's only your body. But if you identify with your body, then you feel depressed. So we are trying to learn something from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam says, Swasthya Vishvasya Kalabrasitam Dhyanti Bhutani Shivam Metodiya. It's a very nice verse. So the residents of Jambudvip, Jambudvip is one of the heavenly planets. So this verse means, let there be good fortune throughout the universe. May all envious persons become pacified by taking up devotional service. Because if they take up devotional service, they will automatically think of the welfare of others. So that is the Indian, generally Indian, that was their motto, do good to others. Do good to others. So India has the greatest wealth. India is the greatest culture. It's a fact that, India, of course, there's other wonderful people here who may not be Indian. I'm not Indian. But I've been going to India for the last 55 years. And Indian people are special because they have some special spirituality in their blood. Even if they're from, Trinidad or Jamaica or Indian heritage. So you find that India has the highest rate of vegetarians. This is a sign of compassion. I hope you're all vegetarians. It's very important to offer your food to Krishna, because Krishna says, if you eat food which is not offered, then you eat sin. You're eating sin. So we should acknowledge Krishna as the supreme proprietor. Everything comes from Krishna. So everything should be offered to Krishna before we take it. the sun and the rain make the food. Without the sun and the rain, nobody could eat. So we don't control the sun and the rain. So therefore, whatever we get to eat is by the mercy of Krishna. So we should think of how to spread this knowledge, actually, because Indian culture is very much needed in the world. So Indians have the highest rate of vegetarianism. It's 40%, which isn't really good enough. But seeing as there's a lot of Muslims living in India, a lot of Christians, but it's not just to be vegetarian, but it's to offer food to Krishna, because Krishna likes to eat. And he likes to eat nice prasadam, which is made with love. Because Krishna, when you offer food to Krishna with love, he tastes it with the lips. And Krishna's lips are very wonderful. They infuse the food with a wonderful taste. Of course, the gopis, they want to kiss Krishna. We're not gopis. We shouldn't want to kiss Krishna. Not yet. But the gopis were praying for Krishna to be their husband. But he knew what they were thinking. You know the story of how Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis? Krishna is so beautiful that they all wanted to marry him. And he knew what they were thinking. And they were performing austerities. They were bathing in the cold Jamuna River in the middle of the winter. So Krishna knew what they were thinking, because he knows what we're all thinking at this very moment. So he stole their clothes and he climbed up into the tree. And then he made them all approach him with their hands on their head. Because he had seen them naked, nobody else could marry them. So they married him. So Krishna's very kind. But kindness is a very important quality. There's 26 qualities of a devotee. And one of this is to be compassionate, and we have to be kind and friendly. So first of all, we have to feel happy ourselves before we can see how everybody else is suffering. If we chant japa, and if we read the books, and if we come to the temple, and if we make a little temple in our home and offer our food to Krishna, and get together with our friends and have kirtan, then we will become happy. I was very lucky myself, because when I became a devotee in 1974, to begin with, I was working in the garden, which was okay. But then I was told to go out and distribute the books. So we would live in a van, and we would go out for a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. And we would cook in our van, we'd live in the van, and the books would be, it was only a small van, it wasn't a fancy van. So the books would be under a wooden platform, and we would go out every day, sometimes very cold, and we would distribute lots of books. And it was very ecstatic. It was wonderful. And so actually when you try to give out the mercy of Krishna, you feel very blissful. So I recommend all of you to try and figure out, and we'll help you, how you can go out and you can give out people. It's like giving out love, because they will never love until they know about Krishna, because nobody is really lovable. Everybody is a part and parcel of Krishna, but we all have certain qualities that make us not very nice. So we have to, become purified by chanting, by understanding what sort of qualities we're supposed to develop, which are all enumerated in the books, and gradually become better and better devotees. And the best way to do it is to go out of your way to give people knowledge about Krishna. So, and if Krishna helps us by blessing us with his mercy, then we'll always be happy, we'll always be victorious in life. Nothing will defeat us. Even if we suffer a defeat, we'll get up and we'll get over it very quickly because we know it was Krishna's test. Anyway, so thank you very much for your listening. So we'll stop here. If anybody has any questions, you can ask now. If you want to get some beads, they have them in the shop. You have a question?
Sometimes it's said that you can't develop your love for God if you're not able to forgive someone.
If what? If you're not, how would you develop your love for God if you're not able to give anything?
Yeah, if you're not able to forgive someone.
Well, then you can always do something. There's always some way you can serve. You can clean the temple. You know, that's giving of your time. Or, you know, if you can give some money, or you can, you know, give your time by coming and hearing the philosophy. It's all purifying, whatever you do. But as you make advancement, you know, you try to find ways that you can give more. But there's always a way to give something. Give your time, give your money. Hare Krishna. Now everyone's going. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Karta Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.